everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and I have got my September wrap up for you today. It's gonna be a little bit quick because on my TBR I took part in the book-oplathon. On my TBR I had 6 books and I read 3, one of which was not actually on my TBR. So September was a bit all over the place. I started every single book apart from Good Omens. What can you do? I have a little stack over here of the books that I was meant to be reading, and I just wasn't in a big reading mood, I think, is the general gist of it. So in the month of September I read 1 audiobook and 2 physical books. So I read, the first one that we'll go through is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. On my Bookopoly TBR, this was my TBR Veteran, so a book that had been sat on my TBR for a very long time, which is this one. I bought it for a holiday like 2, 3, 4 years ago, read half of it, put it down, never picked it back up. So I finally finished it. In Renegades we follow 2 characters, so we follow Nova, who is an anarchist, and we follow Adrian, who is a renegade. So the anarchists are the bad guys in this world and the renegades are obviously the good guys, the counterparts. So throughout this book you are following Nova as she feels like the renegades let her down all those years ago when she lost her family, and Adrian is like the epitome of good guy. He wants to do everything that's the best for everyone. He has got his own secrets. So throughout this book you have Nova leading a split life, but Nova infiltrates the renegades to try and get some background knowledge and some things that will help the anarchists. And I think this is a trilogy, so the first book was really slow. I gave it 3 stars because I was kind of like, it's good, I'm glad I read it, I want to finish the whole series. There was a twist at the end that I kind of saw coming and I was like, that's got to be coming, and I was right. So 3 stars, pretty good. I would recommend it, but I can't wait to get on to the next book, which I think is Arch Enemies. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong, but I need to get the next one and then rebuy this cover because this is the old cover. The second book that I read in the month of September is Aurora Burning by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I gave this book 4 stars. I didn't feel like it was as good as the first book. So the first book we have, the first book is where we meet Squad 312 for the first time. You follow every single perspective of this squad, which I think is quite unique and I quite like. Throughout this book sometimes I was flicking forward to see if, like, 1, my favourite characters survived, and 2, to see when my favourite characters will come up again, because there were some perspectives that I really liked reading and there were some that I was a bit like about, but towards the end everyone's perspectives were really good. So the first book, Aurora Rising, you meet Squad 312 for the first time, and Legionnaire Tyler Jones is top of his class. He is a leader within the academy, and on the day of the draft where they get to pick their squads, he decides to go off and fly one of the spaceships to kind of let off some steam, and he finds a wreckage. Now, being a Legionnaire, he knows that he should really investigate, and so he goes up and he investigates and he finds this girl, and she is still alive, so he rescues her in the nick of time as the ship like basically explodes. But by the time he gets back, he's missed the draft, so he's left with the dregs. And it's the first book is just following them as they follow this girl that they've pulled out of space as she basically tries to figure out who she is. And it is a really good book, and I really loved the first book. There were some twists and turns in it that I didn't see coming. This one I really enjoyed, but I didn't love as much. I think it's just a case of, I think there's going to be a 3rd one. I really hope there is, because there was like a lot of cliffhangery things in here that I want to know about. But we shall see. So, and then the 3rd book that I read in this month was Burn by Patrick Ness, and this book I rated 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. So this book is set in 1957 in America, and it starts off on a cold evening when Sarah Dewhurst, which is one of our main characters, goes with her father to meet a dragon that they have hired to come and work on their farm. And I really did enjoy this book. I got a bit confused because it changes in the second half of the book, is the only way I can say without giving massive spoilers. And it did get a bit confusing, and I think I didn't enjoy it as much because I was listening to it as an audiobook. I really liked the narrator, but her voice was very slightly different for every character, so it's kind of hard to keep up with when the characters change. So I think I would have had a completely different reading experience if I'd actually physically read the book, but I still really enjoyed it. It touches on quite a few relevant issues. It goes over racism quite prominently throughout this book. It was a really interesting take on it, and I really enjoyed it. It was quite harrowing some of the places because some of the racism is obviously very, very in your face, but that's what we need at the minute. I think people need to obviously read that and experience it, even if it is in the form of fiction. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. I think if I'd read it again, I'd read it physically and it would probably get 5 stars because I'd be able to put more of it together in my head. But that's what I read. That is the 3 books that I read this month. As I said in my TBR video, because I didn't complete my TBR, I will be taking on a punishment, and this punishment will be to read the lowest rated book on my current TBR on Goodreads. So I'm sure you'll have already seen my October TBR video that should have gone up before this one, and yeah, so if you haven't, please check that one out. But for now, that's all from me. If you enjoyed it or you have some comments about the books I read, something I should read, leave it down below. If you did like this video, please give it a like, it really supports my channel. And if you want to see more of me not completing my TBRs, give me a subscribe down below and we'll see if I do any better. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!